ACW is sponsored by Jabati. Self-care through skincare. Jabati is for everybody. Welcome to ACW Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Again, so happy to have our listening audience here again with us. I am Robin Gabriel Parson, your host, and our co-host today is Mr. George Levett. Yes, he's a Rockdale County Coroner. Very interesting. So we have a very interesting conversation for you today. Now, our topic today is nutrition, because we're talking about nutrition throughout this month for the mind, body, and spirit. But today we're going to focus on the body from a different perspective. Now, this may be the first time we hear and observe food and nutrition from a dead body perspective. Yes. It's alarming, it's shocking, and it's mind-boggling. But we truly thank Mr. Levett for being here today, opening up our minds to this observation, and looking forward to all of what he has to share. So thank you, Mr. Levett, for being here. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to share all the information that I have with you today.
Yes. And I've been looking forward to this conversation for months. We've talked about it. So this is very a learning topic for me as well. So tell our audience about yourself and the type of work you do.
All right. Well, as you know, my name is George Levett. I am the coroner for Rockdale County. And I'm also a funeral director. That is how I got into the coroner business, because we were actually working along with the coroner's office, picking up cases. And from that, I gained an interest in becoming a coroner. And I've been a coroner for Rockdale County for 8 years now. I'm into my third term, which it's an elected position. But it's a position that I think myself and many other coroners hold very dearly. And it's a position that I think is very needful for our communities throughout the country. Being a coroner, one of the things that I do as a coroner, we investigate death. Death is our investigation. Investigate death, cause and manner of death, and to bring to a conclusion what happened with this individual when they died. Then on the other aspect of it, when we observe in the bodies, we can pretty much tell from different signs and different ways that the body reacts after death, that we can tell certain disease was present. So it's a very detailed thing. I really love the forensics of it. And I'd be glad to share some of the forensics of it with you today.
Thank you. And we're looking forward to all of your information. Now, Mr. Levett, interesting. Nutrition and the body. Many times we try to encourage people, based on my work, to eat healthy, take care of the body while you're living. And that's mainly what our conversation is. But what I find fascinating in your conversation is nutrition after you die, the things that are prevalent and just the signs of really having poor nutrition throughout your life cycle. So please share with our audience your observation and the signs of poor nutrition in a dead body. What does that look like?
Well, that's one of the first things that's where we start to identify disease, identify cause of death, is we observe the outside of the body, looking for specific signs of disease. For instance, on the outward body, we look at the feet to see if there's any gangrene starting. We check the skin to see if there's how well circulation is going on. You can tell if there's swelling. You can determine if there's some type of heart disease that's going on. So there's a lot that you can tell from the outside. We observe the eyes. The eyes really tell the story in so many people's cases. You can tell if there's liver disease going on with the eyes. and things like that. You can look at the skin. If there's yellowing of the skin, you know that there's some jaundice in the body. And so just observing from an outward perspective before we even get into the body, we can look and tell what is happening within the body just from observing a lot of things from the outside.
Now, let's talk about nutrition and the body, just based on what you say in the inside of the body. But once you take that body to the state of, okay, now we have to go into it and really take out the organs and really clean it out. Give us some signs of what you're noticing just within skin layers and tissues and organs. What are you noticing when it comes to illness the most?
Well, one of the most prevalent things that we see is diabetes, hypertension. You know, we get so many cases with diabetes, hypertension, and one thing that is very prevalent is the weight of the person. Many times, Americans are really we're an obese nation, to be honest, and so often we have individuals who are over their weight scale, and they end up having diabetes, and diabetes leads to kidney disease, and the kidney disease farther goes on to other things. Then they have heart disease and things like that. And that starts from many times poor nutrition, not eating right, not exercising, not drinking enough water. You get the arteries start to clog, and your arteries begin to harden. And these things, we notice these, and it becomes so often that we're putting people are put to rest because they did not take care of themselves, did not eat right, did not exercise enough, did not drink enough water. So when the body starts to break down, if we don't take the preventative measures to make sure that we are healthy, some people think that just because they feel healthy, that they're healthy. But so often we have individuals, they looked healthy, they seemed okay, but their cholesterol levels were way out of the charts. And that's something that we've identified when we're embalming. If a person had a poor diet, whether they had a lot of cholesterol is an oil, and it does not mix with the blood, and you can literally see cholesterol in the blood. We've had some cases where the cholesterol in the body actually hardened, and it looks just like the Crisco grease that you see coming when you cook a pork chop or something, and you let the grease sit and it turns white. Many times we see that in a person's bloodstream, which tells us this person had a very poor diet, and it causes the embalming process to become a little difficult because it's hard sometimes to get all of that cholesterol and fatty tissue out of the bloodstream.
Wow, that must be something to see. And I'm sitting here listening to you, trying to visualize that. And now, listeners, we're not trying to scare you straight, but it is kind of scary when you think about it, as a coroner. And I guess you're so used to this, but I just can't imagine a dead body, and you're cutting through the tissues, and you see this white oil, like a grease or Crisco coming out of a body. Must be really alarming and scary for me. I think it's scary for me. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Levett.
Mm-hmm. And one thing, we as a people, African Americans, I find that we suffer with the diabetes so much more because I think it's our diet. Well, I know it's our diet. A lot of the things that we enjoy, that we like, that we say is really a part of our culture, is killing us. And I always tell my friends, culture can kill you. You know,
Yes.
it can kill you. And we see it so often. People losing their limbs because of poor diet. I know of individuals who were diabetics, but because they refused to change their diet, the culture called more for them than their own health, and they refused to change the diet, and they began to lose limbs. And I've seen them where they go from losing a toe, then the foot, then the lower part of the leg, then the upper part of the leg. And many times they do not change their diet. And some of these diseases, once they start in the body, just over the years continue to ravage the body. It's a slow death if preventative measures are not taken.
Wow, you're so correct. You're so correct. And Mr. Levett, I'm thinking, from a coroner's perspective, health is very important, and you guys see it. You see it all the time. So, just from a coroner's perspective, do you get a chance to really share any of that information to families? Like, I know your job is to prepare the body for its next, stage, but do you often get an opportunity to share with family? Well, look, your loved one, this is what I saw. This is some things that you might want to take care of. Is there an opportunity or that to have that kind of
Yes.
dialogue?
Yes, usually at the process of embalming, at the funeral home, after embalming is taking place and you're making arrangements with the family, though that is a good opportunity to talk with them, because normally on the scene when we first get there, the family many times is not in a condition to talk about health or anything like that. But then that would fall more on the funeral director's part, and they're more willing to hear at that point because they've had a day or two to think about it, and to accept the fact that a loved one is passed on, and so that's a better time to talk about it. And yes, we do encourage families to have better health, to practice proper nutrition. And we even encourage families when we detect certain things in a body, encourage families to get themselves checked to make sure that nobody else in the family has something that is possibly hereditary. Something that could be going down the lines, because we do ask questions as has anyone else in the family passed away from something like this, to see if it's something that's reoccurring in the family, so that maybe the next generation can stop what is taking place and start with the proper nutrition, start with the proper exercise, or making sure that they stay healthy and get the regular checkups. Oftentimes, what we see is also is that people don't get checked on a regular basis. Well, I feel good, so I'm not going to get checked. But I encourage everybody to get checked on a yearly basis. See your doctor, make sure that everything is fine. And I think that's taking a very good preventative measure, and staying healthy and being around here as long as we can.
Yes, I agree. And Mr. Levitt, we've been throughout the podcast, those are the things you just brought up are constant tips and discussions we're having is please take charge of your health. Please go get checked out. If it's once a year, like you said, a lot of it could be prevented if we as people would just go get that annual checkup. And it's been constant through our conversation, the same tip, go get a checkup. Please do not feel like just because you feel good, that you're okay. That is true. Go get those organs checked out. Now, Mr. Levett, do you think, just based on your time being in your position and all the bodies that came through your department, do you find that a lot of times when you're looking at the bodies, you say to yourself, you know, one thing, this person could have lived longer if they would have did this. This person would have lived longer if they would have drunk more water, if they would have ate less, you know, high foods and fat, or less sugar. Do you find that some of these bodies could still be alive if that nutrition was a priority to them?
Most definitely, and on a regular basis. When you see, I mean, I wish I could just show a picture of what fatty tissue looks like in a person. You know, and when sometimes when people are overweight, and we know that weight can be a deadly factor in someone's life. The more weight you have, the more the harder your body has to work, the harder your heart has to pump. And just the weight, being overweight alone, causes heart damage, because your heart is working, trying to pump that blood, because you know, the weight is there, and the fatty tissue is there, and the cholesterol is there. And if we could just take a serious look at it and say, hey, this is how we can live longer. And yes, most definitely, we see many cases where we say this person could have added 20 more years to their life had they followed the proper nutrition. So yes, we see it all the time in young and old. Young and old.
Yes, thank you for adding that young and old, because a lot of times our younger people feel like, oh, I'm young, this is not going to happen to me. But what I'm finding, and through research, we have a lot of young people dying very young from heart attacks to diabetes, and obesity is a major threat in our communities. Now, something you mentioned earlier in reference to the African American community, and that's one of the questions I wanted to bring to your, ask, was that do you find more dead bodies of African Americans have signs of poor nutrition compared to their counterparts? So do you find that?
Yes, yes, I do. And that's because of diet. You know, people think just because they're eating a lot that's great nutrition, but unhealthy eating is eating the wrong things, and that is poor nutrition. Just because you go to bed with a full stomach does not mean that you had proper nutrition. You just filled yourself up with bad things, and those bad things really attack your body and causes things to happen down the road in young and old. Yes.
Now, Dr. Levett, what do you want our audience to take away from this discussion in regards to taking control of their health? And you've said it. You said it over and over: proper diet, exercise, proper diet, exercise. But from a coroner's perspective, and you're coming from a very different view. What is it that you really want them to understand before they even come to that place where, okay, well, my life is over. Now I'm on this table. So what is it that you feel that you can share with our audience in reference to when it's your time? You don't want to rush your time. So what in general that you would like to really share with our audience from your perspective?
Well, one thing I would say is, and it's a little jest involved in it, but it's serious. How soon do you want to see me? And what I mean by that is, do you want to see me sooner or later? I prefer that we see each other later. You know, there's a saying that we have, it is better to be seen than viewed. And If you're seeing, that says you're living, but if you view, that says you're deceased. And
Wow.
I would tell individuals, please take this very seriously. Many times we don't take this seriously until something happens, until the doctor sees something, until something goes wrong, until we feel that pain in our arm, until the legs start going numb, until we feel a numbness in our pain in the chest. So I would say start now. Start now, wherever you are, whatever walk of life you're in, start now, taking care of yourself. It's not too late to do right. That's what somebody told me once, that it's never too late to do right and to start doing what is healthy. So wherever you are in your walk, you can start living healthy now. There's a fitness lady. I think she started getting healthy at about 50 something years old. And now she's like in her 70s and one of the top fitness ladies. But she looks 50. She started.
Yes, I know who you're talking about. I'm trying to get her name. She's on the tip of my tongue.
Something like that. I forget her name, but yeah, that's who I'm talking about. And it was like her body just stopped in time. But they showed her husband, he's not on the fitness thing, and he's digressed, but she took her seriously, and he thinks it was too late for him to start, but she was serious about it, and she's motivated so many people to take their health seriously. So I encourage everyone, please take it very seriously. And you will see the results, not only see the results, but you'll feel the results. Nothing better than feeling like you're making a difference.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, Mr. Levett, for coming and sharing that information. I've learned a lot. I hope the listeners learned a lot. I like what you say. You either want to see me later. You want to see me later? Or do you want to, just take hold of your life, or see me now, see me later, or see me now, or take hold of your life and just live it out. Don't rush your transcending from here. Don't rush that being on that table, or, being I don't want to say dissect, but you don't want to rush it. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Listeners, I hope you were able to take in all of this valuable information. We're talking about nutrition, but we want people to understand nutrition is not just a living thing. It's also represents when you see it in your death, when people die. And as Mr. Levett said, he sees it all the time when he has to go through the process of preparing a body. So that's very interesting. And I hope we didn't scare too many people, but it's real. It's real. We have to leave here. And I always, Mr. Levett, share with my counterparts, when we age gracefully. I always look at life as going through life gracefully. And you don't have to rush it and make it a stressful type of journey. It could be really enjoyable. You can relax. You can enjoy your body. So thank you for that. Mr. Levett, if someone has a question and they want to get in touch with you, do you have an email address or Facebook or Instagram? How can someone connect with you if they have questions about just understanding how a body evolves when it goes through life and then it has to be on your table?
Yes, I can be reached. You can reach me on my email. It's glevitt69 at gmail.com. That's glevitt, Levett, 69 at gmail.com.
Thank you so much, so much for that. And again, my listeners, as I always share with you all, please live life with purpose, intention, and love. Until next time. Bye-bye. ACW is presented by Partnerships in Fitness, a fitness and health and wellness consulting group, building strong minds and bodies, and empowering one community at a time. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe to our Piff Nola YouTube channel, and leave questions or comments. You have been listening to the Awareness, Culture, and Wellness Podcast. We thank you for joining us, and we hope that you tune in to our next Wellness Wednesday as we discuss topics that heal the mind, body, and spirit. Until next time, I'm Robin Gabriel Parson, your ACW podcast host. ACW is sponsored by Jabati. Self-care through skincare. Jabati is for everybody.